Let's now talk about core vocabulary and universal lexemes, which are important to understand some key semantic features. Core vocabulary is an idea which has been very popular in foreign or second language acquisition and learning, also in the making of the dictionaries of other languages. And it focuses on the idea that there is always a core vocabulary of every language which is based on certain more frequent and basic words. These words, according to Swadesh, are those which are less likely to be changed. They resist any change or loss more than other linguistic items in the same language. This core vocabulary could be used to trace some links, semantic links between various languages, and thus we can lead towards a study about the family relationships of various languages. And the researchers on the families of various languages usually rely heavily on such studies, the connection between various words or between the core vocabulary of various languages. The implication of this approach, in fact, is that the membership of core vocabulary will be the same or similar for all languages. That means, as I said earlier, that the core vocabulary of a various language would have the elements of similarity. Thus, the comparison of the list of various words, core words from various languages, help us to find some cognates. Cognates are the words which descend from a common ancestor language, and which are similar in meaning sometimes. Swadesh originally proposed a list of 200 words, common core vocabulary words, which was later on narrowed down to 100 words, and you can find its details in John Isai's book. Moving forward to the idea of universal lexemes, which is very close to the idea of core vocabulary, but it is slightly different, and I'll explain this to you in the coming few minutes. Universal lexemes research was primarily conducted by Anna and her colleagues in the previous century, and they analyzed a large range of individual languages, natural languages, and they developed a set of core lexemes or universal lexemes. One feature of their research has been that they avoided metalanguages, the half languages or the languages which are in a development stage. Instead, they developed or they relied on the reductive paraphrase of natural languages. They chose linguistic items from natural languages as they are being used by the speakers of those languages, and from there they develop these universal lexemes. They rely on a notion of limited core vocabulary that is not defined itself, but it is used to define other linguistic items. So those items, those lexemes, which are not defined by other lexemes in that language, rather they define other lexemes in that language. So these are the words they considered as universal lexeme. In front of you is a list of such words which were identified based on all these researchers. I've just selected few of those words in different categories. You can find a detailed list in the reference given below. It's a selection of the universal semantic primes, which are the basic core words. We have substantives like I, you, someone, person, something, body. Then we have determiners like this, the same, other, quantifiers, one, two, some, all, many, much, and there is a list in front of you. So all these words can be seen as semantic primes who form the core vocabulary of various languages in the contemporary world. These universal lexeme may be seen as closely related to the notion of core vocabulary, but they are established in a different way. As I said earlier, they are based on natural languages and their uses in real life situations. They claim And the research on universal lexemes claims that the semantic primes of all languages coincide, which is a very healthy sign for a semanticist, because uh, it can help us to make a claim about an admittedly limited number of lexical universals. So we can this can help us in finding similarities or lexical universals between various languages.